fall is a really good time to plant things in our gardens and landscapes. We can plant hardy trees, shrubs, even perennials this time of the year, and they do really well because the ground is still warm and the cool air temperatures mixed together creates a really good environment for roots to grow and the plants can really get established. Now, there are some traditional plants that people like to plant out in the fall to sort of signify the change in season, and those are traditionally herbaceous ornamental plants like we've got right down here. Now, some of those plants are things like chrysanthemums, like this nice burgundy colored one we got here, things like pansies, and then ornamental cabbage, ornamental kale. Now this will really color up as those cool temperatures start arriving. But some of the other things you could plant in the fall that like the cool weather are things like snapdragons, alyssum. We could even plant some Swiss chard if you could find that in the nursery. Things like dianthus, like we've got down here, are also great for planting out that enjoy the cool weather. And if you are going to plant chrysanthemums, there are a few things to think about. Right here, I've got an example of what you should not buy at the nursery. Now, it looks great right now, but if you look at this plant, every flower head is fully open. There aren't any buds coming on to give you any color later on. So if you just plant this out in the garden, it's only going to look nice for really a few days. If you get a week out of it, you would be doing good. Now, if you look at this plant, you can see that there are a lot of buds here that haven't opened up yet. And another thing to look for on these daisy-type chrysanthemums are the little disc florets in the center. You can see that around the outside edge, some of those little disc florets have already opened up, and there are several in the center that are yet to open. So just seeing those that aren't open yet lets us know that there's still some time that this plant's going to give you color out in the garden. It's got some more blooming to do, and it'll keep doing that once you plant it. Now, some chrysanthemums, of course, don't have disc florets. They're just made up entirely of ray florets, or those outer petal type flowers. But again, you look for the same thing. Get some that are open so you can see what color the plant's going to be, just in case the label may have gotten mixed up. But again, you can see that there's several buds yet to come on this chrysanthemum. This will be great to plant, give us color for quite a while. Now, if you don't want to plant out a large mass of these herbaceous ornamental plants to signify the change of seasons, you could just do some fall containers. Now, you could do some of the typical fall plants massed in containers, and those really look good. We've got, again, a mass of that burgundy colored mum in here with some purple fountain grass. We could also mix these colors of mums. Containers of snapdragons or pansies or something like that look great as well. Or you can do something a little different and create a mixed container out of atypical plants to give you sort of a fall look. And right here we do have some bronze colored chrysanthemums in the mix, but we've also added some heucheras or coral bells that give us those fall colors. This one's got really nice bronze or burgundy type color. Right over here we've got sort of an amber color to this heuchera or coral bells, but great for giving us those autumn colors. Here in the center we've got some zebra grass with that horizontal variegation on the foliage. And a neat thing about using the ornamental grasses for fall containers is that a lot of the miscanthus are starting to bloom in the fall, so we get the added bonus of the plant flowers, or those plumes up at the top. Over here we've got some more non-traditional plants sort of giving us those fall colors. We've got the dwarf fountain grass, lantana. Anytime you use those gold or orange colors, those really give us a feeling of autumn or fall. We've also got some gray foliage plants in here, the Santolina, silver-leaved Santolina. But it's really fun to go to the nursery this time of the year and just kind of go through the plants they have and look for plants that give us those fall colors. Again, here's another heuchera or coral bells, some of the herbs like the sages or maybe some lavenders and rosemaries and things like that. Give us a nice feel of autumn. Some of the other things you might find are some coleus with some nice fall color. And then this is a type of dock or rumex. It's known as bloody dock, and you can see why. It's got those prominent blood red veins here on the backside and the front side of the leaf. But that would also make a good plant to add to your mixed container for the celebration of fall. Well, right over here I want to show you a demonstration of putting together a fall container. And if you remember back in the spring, we talked about putting plants in a container, and if you look for 3 forms of plants, it's kind of hard to go wrong. We talked about upright, bushy, cascade, you got it made. We start out with an upright plant for a centerpiece, and we're going to use this dwarf fountain grass for our upright centerpiece in the middle of this pot. And to add some bushy plants to this, we're going to select some ajuga, because as it gets a little colder, this will have some burgundy or bronze coloration in the foliage. I'm just going to put a few of these around here in this container. And another plant I found at the nursery when I was walking around looking for a combination are some of these euphorbias. This is a spurge. This one's known as blue haze. And I could trim off these little scraggly stems, but I'm going to leave them because they sort of give us a sort of a swirling look, and we're going to add that to our container as well. And these are definitely a lot of foliage plants that are going to be making up the color for this mixed container here. And you know, if you think about these plants, these are all hardy perennials. They can handle a few frosts. So even though you put your container together and it's only there for a while and then we get a frost, this will still give you a lot of interest. Also, if you want, you could take these out after we have a few hard freezes and plant them in the garden, or maybe heel them in, sort of take them out of the pot, cover up the root ball with some soil and some mulch in sort of a protected spot, and then plant them again later in the spring. Well, we've got our upright and our bushy plant. We're just looking for something for cascading effect, and I like to use the gold moneywort. I like the look of it when it's combined with the ajuga here. Now, that may fall down in there, but we'll add some more soil to this when we take them out of the pots later on. But we can work in this gold moneywort and let that trail over the side. Another choice for a trailing plant would be something like some of the English ivies. Put those in there to cascade over the side as well. So remember, upright, bushy, cascade, you got it made. Now, another thing you might think about when you're putting together your fall container is that you can get some really good deals at the nursery. A lot of nurseries and garden centers are trying to move their stock for the end of the season. You could even get plants in gallon-sized containers and sort of crowd them a little bit more this time of the year, because they're not going to be in the container all season like a container put together in the springtime. So you can really do some neat things with fall containers. Put this on your deck, maybe add some gourds or pumpkins or stalks of corn or something like that, and you too can celebrate the change in seasons.